The rapid advancement in digital technology has acted like a boon for the process of globalization. But for some, it has become a weapon for spreading the wings of terrorism. Terrorist groups like the Islamic State, Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Taliban, to name a few, have been using the social media and their digital publications to influence youth and lure them towards jihad. Several reports and research papers have time and again highlighted the interlink between the cyberspace, Islamist radicalization and terror financing that is aimed at expanding the outreach of extremist ideologies among the gullible youth and collect funds for their malicious deeds. We have a report.
From the expansion of extremist groups and their worldwide recruitment policies, it has become evident that the threat of terrorism is not restricted to its region of origin anymore. The mass use of the internet and social media has obscured the borders of extremism and has imposed an undeniable menace to global peace. Terrorist organizations are now invading cyberspace and turning it into a battleground. They no longer rely on military force such as weapons, armor, and bombs only. Instead, they have become more and more savvy, and their strategies and tactics have gained technological orientation.
One should note that terrorist organizations, like other organizations across the world, always use every means possible for exploiting the space for their own ends. In the case of terrorist organizations, cyberspace was a medium which they have been very active for the past decade or so. And today, with the social media and other media coming on board, this medium has been completely exploited by them for their own nefarious ends.
The technology proficiency of terrorist organizations is on a swift rise. A report by the European Foundation for South Asian Studies, or EFSAS, in June 2020 discussed that information sharing has assisted in the dissemination of extremist beliefs across the globe at a faster pace and has appeared as an important tool in the radicalization of individuals and their subsequent recruitment as terrorists. The report highlighted the fact that owing to the accessibility, availability, affordability, and wide reach of social media forums, terrorist organizations have progressively taken advantage of these platforms to convey their agenda and achieve their goals. Terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Islamic State, and Taliban are at the forefront of using the internet for their recruitment and expansion purposes worldwide. Besides, recent years have revealed a scary, dangerous new era in which not only adults but teenagers are being recruited to plot and carry out terrorist attacks.
Youths can be very easily influenced by new ideas and new ideologies. They do not have the experience and the exposure of what these actual impact of the new ideas and ideologies can be in the real world. Thus, terrorist groups and other extremist organizations try to influence the youth and wean them away from the mainstream path towards their cause. Also, the youth can be very useful as the soldiers of a terrorist organizations.
The Pak-backed terror groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, through its political arm Jamaat-ud-Dawa and more precisely its cyber unit called JUD Cyber Team, have also started using social media channels to attract young disenfranchised men. In a similar pattern to ISIS, the JUD Cyber Team has provided links to a computer game titled Age of Jihad, which promoted the organization's objectives. According to intelligence reports, fake videos of alleged atrocities committed by the security forces and building a false narrative are now often used by the ISI handlers from Pakistan to whip up emotions among the young recruits. It was found that out of 131 youth recruited in India's Jammu and Kashmir into terrorism in 2020, 102 belonged to an age group of 16 to 25 years and 29 were above 25 years. In January 2021, 2 terrorists arrested in Kashmir were provided training online using various links available on public platforms like YouTube and were receiving orders as well as religious teachings from Pakistan-based handler Burhan Hamza. Earlier, Amir Siraj, a final-year graduation student from Khwaja Gilgit in Sopore, was also recruited online by Jaish-e-Mohammed. He was gunned down during an encounter between terrorists and security forces.
Now that the Indian Army has got a very strong infiltration grid on the line of control and other security forces on the international border, it is very difficult for Pakistan to infiltrate terrorists from across. As also the recent agreement on ceasefire violations has further reduced the possibility. However, Pakistan's ISI and other agencies are now going to use the cyber medium, online media, social media to influence the Kashmiri youth to join terrorism and carry out terrorist activities. For funding, they are also likely to use the new currency such as cryptocurrency, which has been used by the ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
Apart from radicalization, a wide range of terrorist groups, including Hamas, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, and Al-Qaeda, have also used the internet to raise and transfer funds needed to support their activities. They have relied on sophisticated cyber tools, including the solicitation of cryptocurrency donations from around the world. This trend is only likely to increase as the scope and scale of the internet expands and with other related technological developments. However, not all terror groups have yet achieved significant and widespread breakthroughs with cryptocurrencies and other mediums of online funding. Hence, when terrorist groups do innovate with fundraising, efforts to counter the financing of terrorism must also change with the times.